Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. I have got another exciting mini album, or you can call it a brag book if you wanted to use it as such. And it is so super easy. No chipboard, just cardstock and a couple of magnets to keep that sucker closed, and you're done. It is so quick and easy. I am absolutely 100% convinced that those of you who have not yet made albums, that maybe are on the fence, this is where to start. This is a perfect place to start. And this will actually hold, I want to say 12. Sorry, I wanted to say 13, but I didn't. It will actually hold 12 4x6 pictures. And that's basically how I've done it. So I put these white photo mats in here, and we'll get into the sizes and measurements. But what I did want to show you here, and I didn't do it for all the pages because, well, it would kind of eat up quite a few of the stickers that I have for this collection, which, before I get all sidetracked, is the simple, oh my gosh, why is the word, the Simple Vintage Weathered Garden. I knew Weathered Garden was in the name, and I figured Simple Vintage was also in the name as well. But this is actually a sticker, but the lovely thing about it, hello lovely, is the fact that I've only glued it down on this bottom, because this way I can build an album. I have basically unstuck. I have this little tool. I've mashed this little bit, but basically it's filled with, I want to say it's like baby powder or something like that. So if you had something like that, cornstarch, baby powder, will both work equally as well. I think I've seen people use kind of those, I don't have it handy, but those anti-static little pads that you have if you're doing embossing. So that's also another thing, just so long as you get the back of the sticker unstuck. And you could put it on your pants. I mean, you don't require anything special, but just get it untacky. And that way you can place the glue where you want to place it. And this way, when I go to put in my photo, then I can just kind of slide it underneath, and away you go. And this kit, well, the collection kit, the 12x12, comes with so many lovely stickers that go so well with this collection. I'm just going to grab that. I meant to have it handy, and I did have it, you know, on my desk, but it's in my project saver, so with all the other paper from the collection. So that is the sheet, the sticker sheet. I'm not really going to use them today, but I used one of them here. It does come with 12 of these little stickers at the bottom, but better yet, you could use butterflies, hearts, wherever, like whatever you wanted to use. The only thing to keep in mind is that there isn't really a lot of space. So, you know, you can't really choose, like, I don't think an absolutely, you know, huge sticker like this. There just isn't going to be enough room for it to kind of grab on. So if you selected one of the little tickets at the bottom, or sayings, or these little, I don't know what they're called, but anyways, those ones are really kind of cute too. So you can always do that as well. So I just wanted to show you that as a potential idea. Let it ruminate. And the nice thing also about the fact that this is 4x6 is I was able to use one of our cut-aparts. So I used a little bit of the 6x8 paper here so that I didn't have the larger picture, which may not have really shown that as butterflies, or you wouldn't have gotten all the lovely picture, the lovely butterflies in one little strip. So I did use some of the 6x8, which I also have cut for the one that I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Like I said, this is super easy. It comes together so quickly. We'll go through some of the sizes of the paper. There is a lot of cardstock that's required, but it doesn't use a lot of designer paper. So again, if you're looking for something that is super cute, but doesn't use up a lot of your paper, or maybe you don't have a lot left. Maybe you only have a few cut-aparts left. This is ideal. So we're going to start off with our base. Now this is 110-pound cardstock. So you really do want to go with the heavier, because even though you're doing a couple of layers, you want it to be substantial and add some weight and stability to your album. So we start with our base. Well, this is actually, yeah, it's the bottom that kind of wraps around. This is your flap that comes around. And I'm going to do mine a little bit differently. So this has the hinge on the left-hand side, and then you open, which is perfectly fine, but that's like the opposite to a book. So I think this time I'm actually going to go like this and do it the opposite way. But either way works, obviously. It doesn't really matter. You can even have it set up where this flaps down and then it goes upwards. I mean, ultimately people are going to move the album around depending on how the pictures are. So it's completely up to you. Okay, so getting back to the sizes, this one is 8 1/4 by 4 1/2, and we've done 2 score marks here. So it's scored at 6 1/2 and 6 3/4. And then we're going to need also, I've done 6 pages. The original tutorial that I'd seen by Paul Ford, which was super cute, he used 5, but 6 works equally as well. I felt like the gusset, I always forget that word, that the gusset on this side will accommodate 6 pages. So 5 or 6, you're totally fine. Okay, so getting back to the sizes again, this one is 7 by 4 1/2, and every single one of these you're going to score at 6 1/2. I've also gone ahead and applied double-sided tape to the little tab, and I did it to the side because if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that the side that has the bump on it from your score mark is the side that I usually turn and fold into. So the side that has the little divot is the side that I put my tape on. So that's just personal preference. If that's not how you do it, then that's fine. You can go ahead and you do you. Okay, and then these are our photo mats, and then I did another mat for the very front. So you're going to need 13 in total, all of these the same, and these are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So there's 13 of those. We do need 2 little strips, and this is for our little flap with the magnet. And these are both cut at 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. Set those aside. And then our designer paper. So I'm in the midst of still ruminating and trying to decide which one I want to go with. This is the paper that I will go with on the side, and I thought, oh, well, that's kind of cute. And then you could always you could stamp something on the front, you could put a little picture, and then this was going to be for my flap. 2 little pieces. And then I realized I had this one cut, and this also makes me want to use this one because, again, you have the same space that you could either fill with stickers that are part of the sticker pack. You could put a picture on the front. You could stamp something. I mean, the options really are endless. I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. I'm going to go with that one. I was going to say it's kind of matchy-matchy, but I think I like it because you're going to get the breakup of the white in between. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so these are my designer papers. And so this one is obviously 6 by 4. So this is one of the cut-aparts, journaling cards, whatever you want to call them. That is part of the 12 by 12 collection kit. And then these 2 little guys I got off the 6 by 8 paper pack, same collection. It's a simple vintage weathered garden, and these guys are cut at 1 by 4, and I've got 2 of these. Alrighty, so now I can show you just how easy it is to put this gosh darn thing together. Okay, I think the amount of time that you're going to spend, where you're going to spend your time, sorry, is really putting those, what are these called again? Photo mats in your, into your album. So first we're going to start by burnishing our score marks. And because it's 110, you really want to get that. This one is not there. Sometimes getting the little, because it's only a little gusset, it's about 1/4 of an inch. Sometimes that makes it a little bit difficult, but that's okay. You can do it. There's also another thing that I'm using today, and I used it in my original one. So normally you'd be able to see all the folded, this is where all the tabs for the pages will reside, all in this area. And you'd be able to see all the edges, which is not totally unsightly. It comes together. It's really neat and tidy. I decided though, I had ordered this stuff. It's bookbinding tape, so it's fabric. But I had ordered this stuff on Amazon and I wanted to give it a try. I will be doing an album with it as well. And I just wanted to see what it was like to use. And so far, I'm not disliking it. So we may see it more often in some future tutorials. I don't know. But anyway, so it just kind of gives it really nice finished edge. But it's absolutely not required. I don't even know if I'm going to do it for this one. But I will... I'll stop and show you and let you let you see for yourself, and that way you can kind of make up your mind as to whether or not that part is necessary. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and all of our pages, we're going to come in and burnish those super, super well. We want those all laying as flat as possible. So whatever you've got to burnish your score lines, whether it's a bone folder. I have this other little nifty thing that came with my Cricut, so that works well as well. The other thing, and I brought it downstairs because I washed it, is, and I haven't brought it back upstairs, is the a pastry scraper, I think is what it's called. I can't believe that. I have a couple of them. And I've used that a ton of times, and it's got a little bit of give, so you know you're not going to really tear your paper. It doesn't really have any sharp edges, which is also a good thing, because sometimes, like, as you use bone folders, the edges can kind of get pretty, can kind of be like a shiv, really. So just be mindful of that. I mean, the cheaper ones, I mean, they're cheap for a reason. So I've seen a lot of people use the, oh my gosh, I think they're acrylic ones, and they're a little bit more substantial than my, you know, thinner one, but I like this one just fine, and it's working for me. So we'll just keep on keeping on until I eventually break it, and then look at getting another one. Okay, perfect. So now that we're done with all of our score lines and burnishing, then we are just gonna start assembling. I believe there's nothing else for me to do now but starting assembly. Yeah. Okay, just running through kind of the how to build this in my head so I'm not missing any steps. So this is basically how this is going to go. Flip that around so I am making it in the sense that, yes, that's the way that I wanted to make it this time. And that way I'll have them go both ways, and I can then decide how I prefer it. So how we're going to get this started is we're going to peel back just a little bit of our score tape because we want this lined up really well. I'm going to use my table as kind of getting that all flush. I also get a good vantage point by seeing and making sure that our edges are all lined up, which they are. And that's when I'm going to put it on my table and slowly work it out. So I work this out, and as I go, I'm pressing down so I have a really nice crisp edge. And I'm just going to keep repeating that as we go. If you're not a fan of this method, no harm or foul, you could pull all of this back, and to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, you can put some of your liquid glue on top of the double-sided tape, and that way you have a little bit of wiggle room. And I do mean little. So, you know, don't waste that time. If you feel like it's not sitting well, then, you know, be sure to take it off so that you're not, sorry, I hear there's an alarm going off downstairs. Anyway, so that you're not, you know, having to pull it apart later, which is never a fun game. There's no winners in that. Okay, so see how this gets built? Again, not unsightly. We're spending a lot of time being very mindful, very careful with how we put these in. And so I feel like, you know, it's totally, you don't have to use the bookbinding tape. I've just seen a couple of, you know, people that I personally follow. I've seen them use it, and I have been very curious to try it. So I figured this was kind of a perfect project. It's not really an overly involved project. It's not a lot of, yeah, I won't be totally heartbroken if, you know, something kind of goes astray or don't really like it. It's just the, you know, covers kind of the binding on one side. So it's not the end of the world. Anyways, that's what I'm kind of getting at. So yeah, you just keep on layering these as we go. So I'm using my hands to kind of push inwards. I'm tapping on my table to make sure I've got it flush. And then as I fold over, I am, you know, obviously keeping everything straight and pressed together so that we don't have any mishaps, no wayward pieces, no pages going all akimbo. All right. And we are almost done. Whoops, that one. See, that's why we take our time and look at the top. Make sure that everything's good. And tear your piece of double-sided tape. That wasn't supposed to happen. So, but fear not. There is still lots of tape there. So I just kind of restarted again. I was just getting a little bit overzealous. Tore the tape. And we got our last piece here. I'm going to have to take a break and have just a little swig of water. My mouth is dry. Okay. And now we have our last piece here, or last page, I should say. Okay. Perfect. Excellente. So I'm just going to use my bone folder a little bit. This top one wasn't kind of laying as straight as I wanted it to, but that's what it looks like. So, I mean, you do a comparison. If this to you is not at all what you're looking for, you want it to look very, I don't know, clean, then you can absolutely apply some of the bookbinding tape. This is 1 inch and a bit. Nope, it's 1 inch. I also did get a thicker one, which is I think 2.5 inches, which I would do for probably a larger album. For this one though, I'll go through the steps just so that you can see how to apply the bookbinding tape in action, but this is not a must step. So just so you know, using my garbagey kind of scissors. So this is what I do. I put it tacky side. That was my dog. I put it sticky side up tacky side, whichever way you want to use it. I take my album and doing my best, because I can't put my head in the camera view, I try as much as I possibly can to kind of get that in the middle and press it down. So obviously I have a lot of extra, and I forgot to do this part before wrapping it, and it proved to be quite a challenge to cut it afterwards. So I'm going to do my best to cut this now. Flip it over, cut off whatever extra excess you have. I'm just going to stick that there. And then with it still in your hands, all I did last time was I folded it forward to kind of grab, and then did the same thing and did it to the other side. And that is what you have. Now you're going to find that there's maybe a little bit of resistance when you go to open pages, but all you have to do is open and kind of press down. And as you go, then like once you've done it, it's all good, right? So now you have your base to your little mini album or mini brag book, whichever word you would like to use. Okay, so our next step is going to be, we're going to do the front, because I feel like once we get everything done for the front, then the inside, it really is just a matter of putting in the photo mats. So we're not going to really spend a whole lot of time doing that. You've seen the finished project already. So let's do the front, and I'll get out my magnets. So you are going to need 4 magnets for this. And again, I got these off of Amazon. So these are, they're not huge. I try to go as thin as possible so that it's not taking up a whole lot of space, you know, and so you can, your designer paper and the layers kind of lay as flat as possible, but you also want them to be as strong as possible, because otherwise you are ending up with, you know, an album that won't close. So these guys are a half an inch, no, a quarter, no, a half, a half an inch in diameter, and like, I don't even know how many millimeters that would be. That one is not, I've got this puppy. That didn't help me at all. I don't think I'm going to be able to give you a measurement on this one. 1/32, I think. Yeah, if I had to guess, it's 1/32 in terms of the thickness. They're really not that thick. These ones are 2 sandwiched together. So if that gives you any indication of how, excuse me, how thick they are, they really are not very thick. Okay, so positioning them is something to be very careful of and mindful of. And I ran out of my 3/8 inch double-sided tape, so I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch, which is a little bit more than what I need, but that's okay. That's fine. A little bit of extra tape has never hurt anybody. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to stick the double-sided tape on one side. Of course, it is going to be a little bit of a pain when it comes to pulling the backing off. Not enjoying this part. Come on. I feel like sometimes if I fold one side over, it'll catch. Like the sticky will catch on the magnet. There we go. Just like that one. Okay, so we're going to put them on the inside flap. And you can absolutely bring out your ruler if you want, and, you know, make sure that you are placing these you know, the flap is, I thought I'd be able to quickly tell with that, and I can't. So the flap is, you know, 1.5 inches. So if you're wanting to put them in the middle, then you're going to put that 3/4 inch in. So 3/4, that's 1, 2, 3. That would be like there. But then I've got to make room for magnet. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's more trouble than I think I usually spend on this kind of thing. But you can absolutely use, if you have one of these fantastic Tim Holtz rulers, you can certainly do that. It's got like the 8s and stuff. I'm just going to eyeball it because I like eyeballing things. And it's going to be covered anyway. So it's not like somebody's going to be like, oh, you know what? You're 1/8 of an inch off. I can't take this album from you. I'm sorry. That's just not going to happen. So anywho, I'm going to cut another piece for my other set of magnets, and I'm keeping these sandwiched together, and there's a good reason why. It'll make matching them up on the other side super duper easy. So that one came off a little bit better. So I'm just trying my best to, you know, go with the same, you know, make sure that they're all aligned, these two, and it's sticking to my finger, something fierce. Okay, so we've got our 2 sets of magnets, okay, on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 more little squares of our double-sided tape. And we're going to apply it to the other side of the magnet. So I'm going to put one there, one there. Should be a little bit easier getting this thing off now. Hopefully. Oh, don't make me a liar. There we go. This way you can kind of like just smoosh it all around it. It's fine. It's, like I said, it's all going to be covered in the long run. Okay. So here is why this is so important, but just easy at the same time, is we're going to flip over our, we don't want to press. Remember, we got a gusset here, which is going to help with the bulk so that you don't have, you know, cracking and stuff on this side. So we're just going to make sure that this gusset is standing straight up. So like that, right? It's pretty much at a 90-degree angle. And we just tap and make sure that our double-sided tape is taken. And when we go to open it, oh, you know what? My double-sided tape really has kind of taken over. Okay, there we go. Okay. So just make sure that when you are smushing things together that you don't smoosh this stuff down, because then you'll have what I almost had, which was like, there. It was supposed to be more flawless like that. Like, ta-da! There's nothing more satisfying than that click of a magnet. Anyhow. Okay, so one thing I totally forgot to do. I didn't round my corners. That's what I had meant to do. I don't know if I can now because I don't think it'll slide in. And it's not the end of the world. I have this envelope maker. Oh, it will. Thank goodness. And this side actually rounds corners. So it's handy dandy if you want to round some corners. They also come in a bunch of different, the Crocodile, I think, does the same thing, but I don't have it handy. Anyways, or you can have some little things. I've seen some of they're just like little tiny punches almost that have a couple of different things around the outside in terms of decorative corners, but I just choose to use my envelope maker. So our base is pretty much done. Whoops. I accidentally turned off one of my lights. And now we're going to do the same thing with our 2 strips. So our 2 white strips of 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. We're going to grab those because we're going to round those corners next. I like to have my album right next to where it is that I'm working. So this piece, I'm going to have 2 corners that are rounded. And for me, it's better if I just kind of move it. And if I'm not sure, I just put it back there and I know exactly which corner I'm going to have done next. And this way there is no mistaking what I'm doing. Okay, and then for the inside, it's not so important because these are white, but you know, it's just something I've gotten in the habit of doing because I've made mistakes before. And, you know, then I have to cut more paper and, you know, get all grumpy. Nobody likes that. And I'm going to do the same thing with our designer paper. And I just realized that I had some little fuzzies at the bottom. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which one goes where. I feel like this one's going to go on the inside. It's not quite as, I don't know. I don't like it as much as this cut. So I'm going to do this side and I'm going to do this side. And that's going to layer nicely on that one. And then this one, I'm going to do this side. And that side. And that way that layers nicely on that one. And then there's one thing I didn't do on my original that I am going to do on this one. And I think because it's white is being used as the base, that I really do want to ink the edges. Plus it just, you know, accentuates the vintage feel of the paper that we're using today. Get it all the way around the corner. And it just, I don't know. It just adds something. It's such a small thing to do, but it adds, it's not big impact, but it's just a little thing. And sometimes the little things matter when you add them all up. All in the details, according to the journaling cut apart card that I've chosen to use today. Okay, and then I might as well do that one since I've got this out. You can do the same thing to all of your photo mats if you'd like, because there's not a lot of room to do like any kind of doodling around the outside. I've not done a whole lot of doodling, but I have seen it. Paul Ford did it in his video with this, for this particular little, you know, flip. I can't remember what he calls it. A flip something or other. Flip thing. Flip album, I think, possibly. Something along those lines. But you can do them you can ink the edges to your photo mats as well. That is totally fine. I'm not going to because then we'll be here for a while. And I'm going to then bring in my album. I'm going to take one of my photo mats. So this is going to mat against the journaling card that I have cut. So I'm going to take this, put some liquid glue, and then we're going to lay this on. Now you can, if you want, apply a bit more double-sided tape to here. In fact, I think I'm going to just cut a quick 2 pieces because the glue really, it doesn't really get stuck to the magnets. Not that you really need, it's not to hold the magnet in place so much, but to hold the paper in place. So just make sure that you don't cut a piece of paper. I wasn't overly careful with my double-sided tape, but just so long as you don't go too close to the edge. And I think I just stuck my finger in the glue too. So that's super exciting. And then I'm going to flip this around just because I have a better vantage point. I like matching up the edge. And somebody's on the move. And then I like to kind of really like massage the paper around the magnet so that it really does stick down and that we don't have any parts that are like poking up and stuff, because we're going to come back and do a little bit of work with our designer paper, and I want that laying nice as possible. So we have our white mat down. I'm going to do the same thing. Is that going on the inside? Oh yeah, because I'm doing it this way. So that's going to go there. Before I put any glue, I'm going to grab a couple more pieces of our double-sided tape. And then we are good to go. And now you can press it around and the backing's, oh my gosh. I shouldn't say it before I actually have the backing on my finger, because every time I say the backing is going to take, it's going to come off no problem. I have a problem with it. So that is just the way things go with me, I suppose. And we're going to try and get this as in the middle as possible. So there we go. We're doing the same thing. I just want to, oh, I forgot to put my liquid glue. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that's okay because it's coming off the magnets. I just kind of like scrunched that paper though. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It works. But that's, you know, that's what happens. Sometimes when I get to talking, I don't even know. Yeah. My apologies. Don't know what happened there. So let's try and get this back on here. I know some of you were probably laughing at me, and that's fine. That is fine, because now I can't get this. Oh, I can't get this where I need it to be. That's kind of annoying. I had it. It was perfect the first time, but there's no way it would have ever stayed. I was like wondering why my paper's not sticking. That's because you don't have any glue. Oh, okay. All right then. Okay, so now we've got our flap done. Okay, massage that in nicely. Then we are going to apply our layer, our top layer, beautiful butterfly paper on the back. Had I not liked the 4x6 cut-aparts, I probably would have used the butterfly paper, but as it is, I actually quite liked these cut-aparts. So now we're just going to layer this on. So I've got my fingers. I always have my fingers on one side, and that way I can kind of wiggle it around if need be. And I like putting the bottom, the matte layer on first, because you can really like get at like massaging it around the magnet, as opposed to having two layers to have to go through. So that's why I do it like that. So we have that. It's so, so pretty. So pretty. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the inside. I'm just going to layer that up. I won't be forgetting my glue this time because there is no double-sided tape on this piece. And I'm going to put that there. Excellent. And then that closes nice and neatly. And then the only two pieces that we have here are the white piece for our mat on the outside flap, and then one for the top layer. And then we are basically done. Being extra quiet and extra careful applying that. It's on the outside, so I really like to take a little bit of extra care, making sure that I do my best to get it in the middle. Do my best as much as I can. There we go. If you choose to, you can also put decoration on the back. I didn't do it on my original one. I don't feel like it's really going to get seen. I mean, you can if you want to. It's totally up to you. And then as you go through your album, obviously these photo mats can get placed throughout the album, just making sure that you're leaving a border all the way around. The only one that is a little bit tricky is this bottom one, because if you lay this flat, I found like I was moving too close because you have the gusset here. It gives the illusion that there's more black on this side. But if you just focus on the first score line, leave it bent maybe a little bit, then, you know, make it short. Sorry, my words. Make sure that you've got about as even of a border all the way around as possible, and then you're good to go. So that is the only thing that I just am not going to spend too much time on doing right now because, because I feel like that's just, you know, an extra step that I'm pretty sure that everybody here can manage. Alrighty, so we have our 2 little mini brag books or little mini flip books, little mini albums, for lack of a better word. They do hold 12 pictures that are 4x6. If you wanted to size them a little bit differently, of course, by all means, you could make this a smaller brag book or a smaller album that is equally as cute, that maybe has like 4x4s. So you would cut all this back, and maybe I'll try and do that a little bit later. But anyways, I just wanted to show this to you and, you know, bring you another album that is not using some fancy dancy chipboard. So those of you who haven't yet tried an album, you have to try this one. It is super, super easy. You need a lot of the designer paper. So if you just have some leftovers, if you just have some, it doesn't even have to be the 4x6. If you just have some cut-aparts or some stickers, then you can absolutely decorate the outside of the album beautifully. If you do decide to make this, and I really, really hope you do, please find us on Facebook. It's Fabulous Paper Emporium. So really super easy to find. But I'd really, really love to see your creations and see how you've made this your own. So hopefully you have enjoyed our time together. I know I have. And I hope that if you're not already a subscriber, please hit the subscribe. We are so close to 200 subscribers, and that would totally, totally make my day. Better yet, if you like this video, if you have found it useful in any way, shape, or form, please give me a big thumbs up. I also would really, really appreciate that. But in the meantime, hopefully you have a great day and you stay safe and well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.